I get to come after all those great speakers and talk about the sexiest thing we're going to talk about this weekend is operations. Are you ready for it? So I'm holding up this one book here. I'm going to put it down just a second, but I want you guys to write it down because it's going to be a little bit about what I'm going to be talking about. Is unreasonable hospitality. So we talked a lot about sales this morning and everything else that everybody's been doing to generate sales, casting your net, what you have to do to hunt. Well, we've been hunting for the past year, but on the opposite end, on the operations side. So I'll share a little bit about the opportunities and the things that you might not see within your operations that you can create and what you can do. Talk about your community, your schools, people that are in your area that need jobs. How many people here have heard of how many people in the mortgage industry being laid off? How many? A lot, right? All right, what is your average salary for a teacher, social worker, and police officer getting into those careers? Anybody know? About $45,000 a year. So what does it take right now to hire opportunities in operations, and what can you do with them, and how can you scale? So you need to put together a 10-step business plan. Ours may look different than yours. Yours will look different than somebody else's here. But that starts with your operations. It starts with your onboarding, and it starts also with how you're going to cater to your team, and you're really going to create that unreasonable hospitality for your team and what that looks like. So what we did about 3-4 years ago was we dissected our process. So we don't have a processor, we have a process. And we created a lot of opportunities for operations. What it looks like is we want to cater to our team and also make sure if they are going to bring in those deals tomorrow, can we close them and what can we do? So instead of having someone process from A to Z, we went from Z to A. What do we want our business to look like? And that's where you want to put your business plan together with and create those opportunities within you. Ask for the help. How many people out here don't realize how many people are out of work or how many people will work with you? We dissected our process down to a 4-way relay race. When our loan officers put in for a disclosure request, if they get a signed contract tomorrow, they're out there sailing, they're out there doing everything they can do to cast those nets, we want to be ready to go as soon as they come in. So if they put in a disclosure request from day one, and that starts with the wet signed contract, we want to be able to have a fully underwritten loan within 24 to 48 hours. How do we do that? We're going to disclose that loan. Someone's going to do that. We're going to pre-underwrite, submit that loan. Someone's going to do that. We're also going to do what we consider pass that baton next to the meat and guts processor, and that processor is going to be the only one who's going to communicate to the buyer itself. And then we're going to pass it off to a closer. Yes, we are a straight broker, 18 years, owning my own company, 26 years in the broker community. So very passionate about staying broker, very passionate about the broker community, but we also have a closer. What that looks like is that our processors then can stay on task, working on the next deal and the next deal. We've dissected that process all the way down to the hour, what it takes to do that job. So have you looked at, if you could hire someone to disclose your loans for you, possibly at $25 a disclosure, would you do that? And a lot of people will say, I'm not going to do that because I can do it myself in 15 minutes. But what else could you be doing that Todd Duncan talked about? What else could you be doing that Dale talked about if you have a team that can do that? So you want to think about all these opportunities local in your community and also talk to people. I'll give you a great example. Yesterday morning, 5:15 here, because we're East Coast time, we're in Virginia. 5:15, I did an interview with a young lady. She was actually secondary, got laid off just 2 days before, and someone emailed me and said, hey, I've got this great person. She's a wonderful connect for you. Will you please talk to her? I said, I won't be home for 2 weeks. I'm 2 weeks on the road. And he said, she really needs somewhere to land. I said, I may not be the place for her, but I will talk to her. We talked for 45 minutes, and I gave her a 10-step business plan on how to open her business, because I don't need a secondary marketer, but at the same time, she needs a job. So there's plenty of opportunities out there for all of us right here to delegate with confidence with something that what we're doing. So if you think about that and you really dissect your process and figure out what works for you, you can be in position to create many of opportunities within your team. Marketing, we had 8 college interns at one point in time helping us with marketing. We paid them pennies to help us with marketing because they were interns and they needed the job in order to go to the next step for their college degree. And then we also, I'm on the advisory council for one of our school districts for high school students. I went to the most high school graduations this year, and if you really study and look at where people are going and where kids are going right now, 50% of high school students have no idea what they're going to do after they graduate. So really talking to the high schools, going in, creating the education for them, the credit education, also the home buying process, and just sharing with them. They don't even learn how to write a check anymore. So those are things we're doing in the school district too, even in the high school level. And they want opportunities for business. We can teach someone to disclose a loan. We can teach someone how to do a closing package. No longer, I think, in the mortgage industry are these people going to be getting laid off, making 80 to 150 grand a year, going to find that same career that's out there. So we could also create positions for them within our community. It may not be that as far as the income level goes, but we could create other opportunities for them. So how many of you guys have really taken time to dissect your process and figure out what that looks like for you? Raise your hand. How many of you guys have really decided to delegate with confidence to someone else? A couple. Kristen O'Neill's is a perfect example. But we really have a lot. We want the control. We want the control. And everybody doesn't talk about the operation side and what you can do with that. So creating that unreasonable hospitality and how you can be in position to help your team grow and what you can do there. So what we ended up doing was we ended up creating coaching calls. Instead of sales meetings, we created coaching calls. We do a Tech Until Tuesdays on Tuesdays, of course. We do Winning Wednesdays. We do Tell Me More Thursdays. And not everyone shows up every week, but about every other call, more people show up, or the people that couldn't show up the day before. And now we've created that unreasonable hospitality for our sales team and our operations team, where if we don't show up and get it done, it's expected for them. So again, we go over everything that can make their life more efficient, also what's going on in the industry, what is new, what's upcoming. I've already scheduled with 3 people here to do our calls in the next 2 weeks. So think about that. I did 329 interviews in the last 10 months. I don't need 329 operations people, or am I going to collect 329 salespeople as well? But I've really talked to them, see what they're looking for. And the number one thing that people in the mortgage space and also people looking for careers, they're looking to join a company where they can collaborate and what we can do to reach across the aisle and really work with each other. So if you're thinking about really dissecting your process, what that looks like, for me, it was joining 2020 Vision for Success Coaching, really dissecting and getting a business coach. It was talking to other peers. It was really being in a position to how we were going to elevate our business. Putting someone in the position that I could let go of my business, which is very fortunate, is my son. He's my COO, and he is the Oz behind the curtain and does everything else once we bring the people on board. And then deciding what was the next step for that was bringing on a growth architect who could help me recruit, who could help me onboard and train. So we dissected the next step. We dissected our onboarding process. And we got our onboarding process down to the fact where everything is automated. They can come in, bring a loan in, and put it in the next day and be in position to start closing deals within 5 to 7 days after onboarding. And so you look at that. The onboarding process for retention is extremely important of what you're doing. So if you're looking to scale, you're looking to recruit, and you want to talk about the onboarding process, please reach out to us. Deshaun, our whole team will share with you some of the things that we've been working on. In talking with 329 interviews and teammates, and I call them meet and greets, and it's very taxing. You have to invest a lot in time, a lot into yourself, a lot into the business, and it's really eye-opening how many people that you can talk to will share their whole life with you and what they're looking to do. So I think dissecting your process, figuring out where you can delegate with confidence, also look at your onboarding process. What systems do you use? What systems work for you? And how can you get your policies and procedures into one place where you're not going back and forth with someone who's trying to onboard with you and being in position that 7 days later you forgot something for them to sign. Try and get all that automated to where in one day they can onboard, they can put in loans, and they've got all their policies and procedures and everything is signed and you guys are on the same page. And then going from there, creating an onboarding jumpstart course. We do a 2-week jumpstart course, and then we do a 6-week mentorship course where they can meet with a mentor one-on-one every single week. So these processes taken us to the next level where we've gone from 30 employees to almost 100 next month. So doing that is we want to make sure that we are creating what I had here was unreasonable hospitality for our teammates and for our sales. And that starts with operations. So if you think you're going to recruit, you think you're going to scale, or you are going to be in position that you want your operations to look more efficient, I definitely highly recommend, one, reading the book, but think about what you want it to look like. Start with the end result. Start with Z and work your way up to A. And for us, it was really getting in the war room, hashing it out. Our conference room is called the war room sometimes, and really hashing it out and deciding what we wanted that process to look like. If we onboarded an LO who closed 200 loans this year, could we take that on and it not be painful for everybody else? Or just the person who's going to close one loan in the next 3 months. Are we going to be onboarding them differently or treating them equally and being the same? And that starts with writing your process down and being in position to stick to it and walk it through every step of the way. So there's not one person in our company that doesn't know, one, what our process is, what their job is, and during the whole process, what our 4-way relay race is. Once we do disclosures, everybody's off and running, the baton gets passed, we do disclosures, we do pre-underwriting, we process, and then we have a closer. So just because you're a broker doesn't mean you can't have a better process in line. So that's something that I'm very passionate about, and I feel like creating that unreasonable hospitality for our loan officers can have them out in the streets and selling and bringing in deals tomorrow, and we can close up. We're at capacity right now to close 200 loans a month. Are we closing 200 loans a month? No, but we're at capacity to close 200 loans a month with our operations team and still be efficient to where they're not working nights and weekends every single weekend. So if you guys have any questions or you want to reach out to us, we would love to have a conversation with you, be in position to share and reach across the aisle. Because right now is the time I feel like everybody should be in position to scale. Let me refresh that. I got into the business in 1997 as a Girl Friday, doing absolutely everything 3 loan officers wanted me to do for 9 months working for pennies. And right now there's a lot of people out there who need jobs, and they may not, if you talk to them, they may not need a salary like you're thinking they are. And I think we have to get out of our own way sometimes and think about all the operations. They want 6 figures, they want this, they want that, and that's not necessarily true. Every call, I ask them, what's your non-negotiable for position and what's your non-negotiable for pay? If I can't do it, I'm going to point you in the right direction of companies, places that are hiring, or I can help you build a business plan so you can create your own company and do that for yourself. So I think that's something that we kind of are in position where we don't really think about what these opportunities are out there and how we can dissect our process. So the last thing I'll share with you is the biggest mistake I ever made was not having a personal assistant. So whatever that looks like now, there's VAs out there, there's everything else. If you start with that, that would be the best thing that you could ever do. And then take your process and look, at the end of it, when the consumer leaves after they've signed, what do you want that experience to be? And for us, it was part of our closing. We hired someone who had no mortgage experience at all, but had 30 years customer service experience in claims and disputes for companies. And that was a big thing. So when they leave, when the title companies come to us right now, they're like, oh, it's CMS? We got it. We want to do business with CMS because we know Keisha has it. And they know that they can count on us, and they know we have that service level experience. They tell the listing agents, they tell the buying agents, oh, thank God you're working with CMS. So that's one thing that I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you guys got something out of this today, and thank you so much for listening.